Well, just in case you're wondering what that video was about, that video shows a former acting chief judge. It was a trending video that's gone viral now. A former acting chief judge of Kebbi State, Elizabeth Karatu, who was allegedly barred by an NSCDC official whom you saw in that video from getting access to a courtroom. Now, we understand that the acting chief judge was due to retire in Kebbi State, the acting chief judge of Kebbi State, I must add, was due to retire on the 5th of July, and she had gone to court on the 4th of July to deliver her last judgment. She was trying to clear her table, and she was barred from gaining access to a courtroom on that 4th of July, knowing that she was going to retire on the 5th of July. You saw the actions of the official there. The official was having an exchange of words with Audley, who says, you know, talk to me. Why are you barring the acting chief judge from getting access to the courtroom? Now, I think it's also important to put here that the acting chief judge had also alleged, made a petition to the NJC before now, that she had not been confirmed as substantive chief judge of Kebbi State based on her religion. So there's been some controversy there before now. But that was what we saw on the day when she was due to retire. An NSCDC official allegedly barring her, you saw it in that video, from gaining access to a courtroom for her to deliver her judgment. Now, it has drawn condemnation from a number of lawyers, and some say they're going to take it up, some say they're going to investigate it, even though some said they were not aware. But let us take the reaction right now of a senior advocate of Nigeria, Dr. Paul Ananaba. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you. Good morning.
Well, you have seen that video. Beyond the video which you have seen go viral, have there been any further discussions, any new revelations as to what transpired in Kebbi State on that day?
Well, what I'm aware of is the video and the response of the Civil Defense, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. If it was just the video, then I think there would have been controversies as people queue on different lines.
Yeah. Typical
of what goes on in this country this time. People don't call spade by its name. People are not willing to say things the way they are, and a lot of people are willing to avoid this and that so that you are not mentioned in this and that. But those things should not extend to this type of Kebbi State incident. From the point that the principal actor, the civil defense, now came with a response, it goes down a lot more outside speculations. You now have some facts you can deal with. Mm-hmm. Civil defense says the premises is locked up and all that. And how can you lock court premises? Is it a public holiday under the Public Holidays Act? I thought that an agency like the Civil Defense should have come to apologize to the judge, much more to the judiciary and to the legal profession. I think what happened based on the response of civil defense is not acceptable. The chief judge of any state or the federation is the head of court. Now, how will you tell the head of court the court premises is locked? What does that mean? Let's divorce this from the petition the acting chief judge had written and the response of the state or the House of Assembly. That is not what is at play primarily. That could be a secondary issue. I think that security agencies, particularly the civil defense, like in this case, should know when to apologize, when to get where the limits are. The civil defense didn't say they did not recognize then Justice, the acting chief judge then, Justice Karatu. They didn't say, oh, we didn't even recognize he was the chief judge, acting chief judge. You knew he was acting chief judge. And you knew that she had a judicial duty to perform. Now, what do you want the whole world to look at us as these videos go viral everywhere? I think it goes back to the independence of the judiciary. And let me make the point that no matter how highly placed anybody is, if you have issues, it is to this same judiciary you will go to. We need to secure and observe and respect the independence of the judiciary. And that's the only way we can have sanity.
It is troublesome indeed. I mean, looking at the video there, the NSCDC official, I'm wondering, couldn't we have seen this because he's not armed or anything of the sort? Don't you think that there could have been a situation where he could have been forced, and then way would have been made for the chief judge to gain access to?
That's the issue, and I want to address that. When you see that, this is a philosophical base for a lot of violence and similar acts you are seeing in bringing up in the country, because it means that the judiciary is not in a position to offer solution, because the judiciary itself is trying to save itself. Now, if a person has an issue and he knows that the courts are there, the court will be respected both by the government and everyone, then he will take his grievance to the court. But what you are seeing is that with this type of incident and other similar incidents that you now see in recent times, people now know that there is no judiciary to go to, because if you get there, you will not get justice, or the judiciary will not be free to dispense justice. So you look for other solutions, and those solutions are likely to be undemocratic, increasing the heat in the country, increasing the challenges of the country. I believe that everyone should come back to think about it, the government and everyone, so that we will restore the dignity of the judiciary. The judges themselves also should realize that there is need for them to realize, to know that their position is such a position of that is sensitive, that is very important and cardinal and central to Nigeria, so that all of us will restore the dignity of the judiciary by their judgments, by orders you hear sometimes, and you worry about such orders. Those are also part of things that lead to disrespect to the judiciary. So the judiciary should know that the public is watching, the public is looking up to them as the last hope, as it is said, of the common man. They shouldn't make orders and judgments and acts that belittles or whittles down this high calling.
What could the fears have been, though? I'm just a little curious.
Well,
why
we don't
would
know,
an acting chief judge be prevented from delivering judgment in cases before her, a day before she's due to retire?
Maybe further investigations will reveal who are the parties in the suit that judgments and rulings or perhaps was going to be delivered. Because, I mean, what is apprehension? This is only a high court. If the judgment is not favorable to you, you have the Court of Appeal to go to. So why wouldn't you allow her to complete her job? I mean, where is it that, assuming he was an executive officer, you now prevent maybe say a governor or a senator or whatever from going to the Senate or from going to the government house as a governor, or even as a president from going to office a day before you retire your term? Also that day, she was still the acting chief judge of the state. Do
we have details as to what judgment, what cases she was going to deliver
judgment on? That will be revealed. Now that act ignores a very serious issue, that those whose rights were to be determined on the 4th of July and perhaps was not determined have suffered injustice. And then on the 5th, by legal principles, she can no longer deliver such judgment because she had retired. And every lawyer knows that it happens to Justice Emeka in Obioko and Oboininya. You cannot come back again when your time, when you are retired, to give those judgments. So all the funds, time, witnesses, arguments that had been put in and awaiting this judgment are all gone. You have to begin afresh. In many cases, the witnesses will no longer be there. Grave injustice will be occasioned.
Well, let's take a moment now. When we come back, we'll talk about the implications of this. I mean, extend the conversation on the possible implications. In just a moment, please stay with us. Well, Dr. Paul Ananabai is still with us. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria, and we're looking at this video which went viral of the alleged blocking of the former acting chief judge of Kebbi State, Justice Elizabeth Karatu, who was prevented from entering a courtroom by an NSCDC official in a video which has gone viral. And we're talking about that. Well, this definitely has implications. We're still not certain what judgment she was going to deliver. But this has happened now. What can the judiciary do to safeguard or to correct anomalies like this? Even though you say she is retired now, she cannot go back to deliver any judgment. Yes. But what can be done to, ensure that things like this, I mean, justice is delivered on this matter, and that things like this don't repeat themselves?
Well, the point is the three arms of government should go back to read sections 4, 5, and 6 of the Constitution. There is separation of power, and in practice, there's fusion of power. There is no issue of rivalry between one arm of government or the other. The Constitution has a mechanism to ensure that there is justice. Let's allow the judiciary to do their work, allow the executive to do their work, allow the legislature to do their work. And because the executive has powers to execute, should not be used against any other arm, or even the tyranny of the legislature that we've seen sometimes, even the judiciary. If the judiciary also may not have done the best in recent times, and you could see complaints about matters that have gone to court. So some people may have, on their own, become apprehensive of whatever judgment it is, and make sure that, okay, it will not be delivered again. And like I said, the rights of people have been trampled upon. And in many of these cases, you will not see the witnesses again, and you will not have the resources again to go back to those cases. And I then say that let us restore the confidence and the independence of the judiciary. Unless and until that is done, violence and all kinds of terrorism and all that may not abate easily.
Who has responsibility for that now in this case?
Well, the executive has executive powers. They should, you could see the governor of your state make a very profound comment, and that's what we need to hear coming from the executive all across this country, to say we stand by the independence of the judiciary. We will obey court orders. We will stand by whatever the judiciary says, and then our attorney generals should get to work and ensure that they work with the chief judges and the judiciary to make sure that the judiciary recognizes its position and does not whittle down the confidence that is reposed on them. Now, NBA issued a release that they are going to investigate and all that. But all these releases, are good comments. But we should walk these things through. We should get to know finally what happened. What were those cases? What would have led to stopping her from delivering this judgment? So it doesn't happen again.
Because some people will say that this certainly will have something to do with her confirmation. Even though you have said we should try and separate the issues, the fact that there's been controversy over whether or not she will be confirmed would definitely have put her in, in some sort of conflict with the political actors in the state. Now, they claim that, no, this was owing to some disparity in the documents that she presented before them, that the date of her primary school leaving certificate were altered, the date on her date of birth were altered, etc. Now, but this controversy has gone on because she had taken it up with the NJC to say, there is some religious bias against me here. I'm not being confirmed because I'm a Christian. The NJC waded in. Now, in the aftermath of all of this, we cannot say that had nothing to do with what we eventually saw on the last day of the judgment. What we don't know is if the matter had to do, or the matter she was going to deliver judgment on, had anything to do with any political actors. Subsequently, do you think that the Kebbi State government has a role to play in terms of clarifying what happened we saw at the court?
Yes, they certainly do. The Attorney General of that state should be able to come up to state what they know, so that we will know more. But we cannot conjecture. We can only stop at what we've seen. I'm aware that the State Assembly did not confirm her. I'm aware that the governor has said that he has submitted the name several times, and that the Assembly was saying there was alteration of dates of that and all that. What I'm saying is that shouldn't lead to shutting an acting chief judge out from performing her duties to the last day. That's the point I've made. Now, Section 6 of the Constitution does not allow any party, whether government, House, or that's why I went to the principles of separation of power, does not allow any party whatsoever to take laws into its hands. We were in this country and you saw that even the former Chief Justice of the Federation had to be taken to court. Now, if indeed Justice Karatu had falsified her age, due process would have been followed. And then she will answer. And not for the House of Assembly to sit by and say, okay, we have found alteration of age and all that, so we will not. That is the dangerous move that I don't endorse. I don't endorse. Because now you have constituted yourself a judge in what you have discovered. You have now, you investigated, you confirmed, you acted on it. That's not a judicial function that can be performed outside the judiciary.
But just to clarify this, when we take names to a State House of Assembly or National Assembly, don't they reserve the right to confirm or to reject?
They have the right to confirm or to reject. I'm not aware of the fact that they should give reason. But when they give reason, that reason must be verifiable, must be authentic. Not reasons that will create more chaos in the system. You can see the product. Now, because of those reasons, in this act, it is now as if the animal cried in the night and the child died in the morning.
Oh, well. Well, we sincerely hope that there will be some investigation, some logic, even though it might be of no effect now because she's retired and, you know, the judgment she was supposed to deliver, she wasn't able to deliver. Well, apologies or sympathies to those who were affected by that. But we have to thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning. Dr. Paul Ananaba is a senior advocate of Nigeria. Sunrise Daily continues about now with the crew in Lagos. Chamberlain.